Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Tectonic Lounge by Code Engine Studio. Today I'm honored to have John with us. He's our guest from North Carolina today. We have been doing business together for what, almost 8 years, John?
Something like that,
yeah. Closer to the decade than not, we'll say it that way. John has been a global person, has been all over the world, has traveled. But tell us a little about yourself, John, and your business.
Well, really, it's basically I've started in furniture and design and this type of thing, and was in Asia running factories and needing websites to sell to the trade audience that we sell to. And then about 4 years ago, bought an old mill property in North Carolina, about 74,000 square feet, an old hosiery mill, and I wanted to make it into a creative space that could basically ignite a little bit of the design or connect the design capabilities that are in the North Carolina region to the design customer I have, and then also to sort of also encompass more my global network of brands I work with and people I work with from the Netherlands to Indonesia to China and this type of thing. And so it's just more like a central sort of creative space with my current focus being in the Carolinas and on the building and how to really start to showcase what's possible in this region, while still embracing what goes on globally and having and allowing our property to be an outlet for what we make anywhere.
So for those who are interested, it's Cohab.Space is the property. John has made an amazing...
Cohab.Space would be the website.
Yeah, Cohab.Space, Cohab.Space is the website. I visited it, I guess it was last spring or last summer. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was pretty awesome to see the developments there, all the spaces, cool store, music spaces, good food, fun old school building with definitely great bones and great charm. Okay, so John, we're going to travel back in the time machine with 1 foot in the present and 1 foot in the past. I'll go back to when we first met and you came to us with the idea of the technology you're trying to create. Back then, if I recall it correctly, and please fill in the gaps for me, one of your goals is to provide a marketplace for multiple vendors, but push it out to the front ends of multiple online store presences. So you weren't just selling it yourself. You have all these partners who were selling for you. Some of them were resellers to designers. Some of them were bigger chains of stores and stuff like that. So back then, in your mind, what was your vision? And then the second part of that question is, if you were to do it all over again today, not accounting for the fact that what has changed technologically, how would you approach it differently?
Well, so first off, so what I was trying to do is I work in a lot of one-of-a-kind and unique pieces. So I needed to figure out a way for my buying audience to have access to those one-of-a-kind products to be able to showcase to their customers through their own branding. And so that's why I came to Vietnam and met with you guys. And we wanted to build this hub software, and it was really based on an inventory management software that could work on multiple websites at the same time. I thought it was a very valid thing at that time. Spent a lot of time building out partners that would showcase it. My limitations was really my not understanding truly the challenge in partnering, like how people buy into it and would support that model and actually utilize it effectively to make it worthwhile. And so your question was sort of how would I do it again, or what was the question? And just clarify that.
If you were to pursue this model today, what are some of the things you can take from learning? If you were to redo it again, which we know you're not, but if you were to redo it again, how would you approach it differently today?
In essence, I am going to be redoing it again right now, but I'm going to be redoing it again with a focus on now that I've understood how this works. It's really I do want to have a multi-platform website that I can showcase artisans and designers and stuff like this. But it's actually, I'm more the outlet, it's rather than me trying to bridge with other sites and cooperate with other retail websites and things like that. It's basically bringing people to our website, but then building my back end around supporting artists and designers and having them have the ability to, and there's a lot now, and there's a lot of platforms out there. Carpenter's Workshop is a good example of a platform that does it. So it's just, I want to connect my focus now is how do I connect my tech to the physical building that I'm working on, and how do I make the building attract the audience to the tech, and how do I have the tech attract the audience to the building?
Yeah, so I want to dig into a couple different layers, because I think when you and I have dealt with this project for years, in my mind, there's at least 4 different layers. The first layer is the input of content, right? Input of data, both from the content creation, the media, the images, the things that we would call today in the DAM, right? Digital asset management. That's one layer. The second layer is the actual inventory management, which would be, and you had shipments coming from Indonesia, from China, and the ideas you had. I remember at one point you were talking about Kenya and Turkey and Netherlands and all these other places. So the idea was to be able to clearly say, if I'm interested in this one of a kind piece, it is coming from there. Not that the front end customer would care, but the front end customer would care how long it would take to get to them, right? So that there was more of a timing thing. So that's the second layer. The third layer is managing that inventory from the perspective of when somebody makes a purchase, pushing the inventory data pieces to all places. And then the final one is to push all the content, all the data to the various front ends of the websites. Now, back in the day, we chose to do it through a CMS, which that back then the market choice was WordPress, and we helped set that up. But I want to go back from the logistical challenge of content creation and content management. You had to learn quite a few things when it came to like media management and thinking through image sizes. Were you able to see progress as we worked along on how technology actually made your life easier in that sense?
To a point. I mean, again, we still haven't. I never, connecting your true accounting and inventory management with order flow and all this. We still. It's such a huge bridge sometimes that people don't really realize. They think everything's automatic on the web, but they don't know there's a back room of about 100 people working on a Crate and Barrel website to make sure that the inventory is updated by a spreadsheet still. People think everything is done, and I've yet found that to be the case. And as many platforms as I see out there, the amount of money I've watched my friends of mine that are in the same business as me, and the amount of money being spent on ERP or the inventory management systems and websites, and that the amount of money that people have spent, and I continue seeing them spend. I just had a conversation last week with somebody, and they're going at it all over again, and they're bound and determined to make it seamless. And I really am looking forward to the day when I think it's coming, but the day when really a Sage software does actually work effectively by turning on a module.
Yes, I think that's always the fun challenge, right? If you're going to go with one brand, and there's multiple brands like Sage, like Zoho, they all try to create a suite of tools that claims to go end to end. The issue is then you have limited options on what the end looks like, right? You have to use that particular tool. It may not output to the website. So you faced multiple challenges on the fourth layer, which is pushing it out to customers, because every single one of them wanted a slightly different website and they wanted slightly different controls. Now you're going to face less of an issue with that because you're going to be the ultimate control. Now you're still going to face the issue of different audiences. And so you actually have to think through the audience being your designers, which want different types of content coming in or being displayed to them, a lot more deeper information, perhaps PDF downloads or whatever it may be, versus a consumer. And then you may want to control over which products get displayed where. and this is what has changed a lot, is this ability to do a lot deeper personalization today, right? We're seeing that all over the place.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that causes people like myself just sleepless nights is like, what part of tech are we not knowing about? What part of tech are we building that's going to be outdated in a year? Where's people going? Like, I'm seeing some amazing, I'm buying a lot of shit that I'm finding for the first time on Instagram. Advertisements that are getting better and better, and I'm getting sucked into it and buying this, new LED lighting system and this, so I can test it and put it into product. And I really like it. I mean, I'm finding more and more the way that products are presented on Instagram, I love, because it's telling me something, that it's giving me an idea.
Right. But there's always a give and take, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know, so the thing is, what I'm saying is that what I want to, the reason I look at CES and I look at you guys is that I want to I know that you're out there looking for what's next and what the problems are and all this. And so I'm always looking at it. And I just talked with Tyson, Tom, the Dutch guys I'm working with on the web GUI and the interface and how it looks, and how, we're excited because we know if we can talk to you a little, once a month or something like that, for 15 minutes or 30 minutes and say, here's what we're thinking. What are you thinking? And you can say, but maybe, but no. And so I just need to have somebody that knows what's coming as best as they can.
Well, and it's exciting to be a partner in this sense, because I really enjoyed working with your Dutch partners as well, because they think of on the bleeding edge almost, or at least the cutting edge of the design ideas, and they're trying things. So we're able to sometimes have a bit of a tension between, well, design is cool, but is that going to hit the mainstream audience? But what I'm finding interesting is this is a fascinating dilemma that I see for a lot of customers. When you talk about Instagram doesn't have an ability to interface with inventory yet, right? So you really are pushing them to do an inquiry, much less than a purchase.
It's just an order inquiry. All it's doing is taking you to their website.
Which goes back to the early days of e-commerce. That's all we did was order inquiry. We didn't really do full-blown, e-commerce environments. But I think you also lose out on some of the design, but yet you get the customer where they're at, which is the most powerful thing, right? So you lose some of that. You get a little bit of personalization based on displaying your sponsored content to who you got. But then when you go back to your own websites, you can add that element of personalization, and you can add that element of making sure you're addressing the right audience with the right products and the right data for the products. What I find it interesting, going back to the media management, when we first started doing this, we didn't have access to things like DAM, digital asset management systems, which exist now. Boy, it would have made life a lot easier. Then we wouldn't have to worry about building all the pieces in the hub. What I'm wondering is, did you see the benefit of having a system that you wouldn't have to think about making sure that the image perfectly fit into the box and stuff like that, because the system would actually do that for you? Or did you prefer to have more of that hands-on control on every single page that came out?
All comes down to the starting content you're working with. If you don't have, I'd rather have it be as automatic as possible, but you can't, the final output has to be correct for what you want the client to see. And so, I would never do 3D modeling on my website of furniture. It doesn't talk to my customer.
Right.
There are certain things I would do, like, so somebody has to still take a physical photograph of something. And, and that physical photograph has to be taken at the right angle and somewhat with the right light. And that has to be put up to the website. Now, if that can just be put up as a high res, massive TIFF thing, and we never have to see it again, and it's put into the system and made it and sent through, then that's great. And there isn't web sizing and all that. That's great. But I think that, automation is only good. There's actually a physical handoff to automation.
Yes, automation is great, but you need the human element to make sure the quality is good on the input and the output. Yeah, I think that's a big deal of it. I know you do a lot of thinking and research, even outside of your own main goals. How do you feel about all the AI stuff that impacts even your industry? I mean, I have no doubt you run into fake photos of furniture that are not real.
I love AI for one specific reason. As a small businessman, as an independent businessman with somewhat limited resources, AI has given me a huge leg up to get things done personally. But I'm using it primarily right now for writing. So I'm using it for writing grant money, for writing business plans, for putting out our journal. We just did did you see the?
Yep.
Just give me 1 second. We did a print journal. We just put it out last week, and what was really nice about that, I did that with the Dutch and did this. It's all about about what we're doing at Cohab, but it talks about our website. It talks about coming to do some virtual shopping and have a virtual tour and do this stuff. That I had to come up with the stories. If I would have hired a copywriter and a team to put it up, and I've tried finding PR people that can tell my story. It's never been fun, and the results have been like just so difficult. I can come here at 6 a.m. and work on AI, and I can put the premise of a story together, and I can then take and have it corrected and have it viewed, and I can make it it's still my story. So I love it.
I know at one point I think you thought about using AI for customer service as a chatbot. Is that something?
No, not really. I love the idea of a chatbot, but I'd much more prefer it to be a 9 to 5er, and actually my physical reps actually being on the other side of it. I'm unconvinced for what I do that AI could solve my customers' questions and where they go, because these are weird. These designers will ask if it can be made an inch longer, and can I have this paint finish, and can I do that? And I get frustrated with an AI chatbot. So I'm not there yet.
Well, and I think it's good. I think it's a very valuable thing to find that balance between what technology can bring, right? Obviously, you don't just copy and paste what AI generates even for your journal. You revise it and edit it, but it does the grunt work for you that maybe you don't want to do, or you don't have the energy to do it, or you don't have time to explain to somebody. Just easily explain to AI that doesn't have emotional attachments or past baggage that they've written for somebody else. So I think that's pretty valuable.
It gives me body, like something like a grant. So I did a grant last year. It took me a day to do a grant for music promotion funding and stuff like this. And I got the grant money, and it did a damn good job. I had to provide it the ammunition. I had to provide it the depth of what it was going to how it was going to tell the story about how other cities were supported by how their music was created, was activated through city support and everything like that. And I found and I put that into my grant. But that was the first time I really used AI, and I like the fact I knew I wouldn't have got it. I wouldn't have got it done. I wouldn't have found somebody that would have put that together for me in enough time.
So let me take you to, let's say we're in 2024. Let me take you, I'll just say 2027. One of the concepts out there, and I was talking to somebody recently about an e-commerce experience, and this person works with AI space a little bit, and he said to me, I believe we'll do AI shopping in a few years, where I will tell, Gemini or ChatGPT or whichever tool out there, say, hey, find me a couch with these dimensions that can be customized for this color, that is one of a kind piece, and it will scour the internet and we'll start finding these, and then it will talk to you guys. The AI will actually get on your support chat and ask questions. Can they be changed to lime green with purple stripes or whatever it may be? Do you see your industry, do you see furniture, particularly designer-driven furniture, going to that environment, or you think these designers are going to hold on to the last second and not let go of their jobs?
I think that you're going to find like the Wayfarers and people like those sites and things like that trying to utilize, like right now, I can take a picture of a one of a kind and have Google do my search and see if it's what's similar to that out there at what price. And shop comparisons and all that stuff. I'm going to, I feel my success will come from being more physical, and 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 there's always going to be an element of people wanting to have an experiential physical feel and an interaction. And I think there's going to be all sorts of automation on the retail consumer side. I hate shopping. I want to go get somebody to go buy my eggs and put them in what's already. But I mean, I want somebody to go think of what I want to eat. I don't get, solve my problems. But in the business I'm in right now, I think the greater advantage for me or opportunity for me is making the physical and the tech work together, and the experience in that be seamless and benefit each sides of it. And yes, we do most of our business on the internet, and we will continue to build that more and more and more. But I want people to virtually be able to come into my showroom. If they're on the floor and they're actually writing an order, I don't care if it's, I would like to buy. I've been looking at robots across the street that are making stuff. A friend of mine just bought one, and it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. He has it making espresso. We were testing and doing an espresso machine, and I love it. And we're going to embrace tech like crazy. And if I could actually put a robot on wheels in my showroom, and they could be talking to a customer, and they could be saying, "Do you like this, sir?" and zoom in on my one of a kind, and I'll put that in the cart for you. I would do it tomorrow.
So you're keep dancing in this balance, which I think is really cool, between embracing the physical space where people can touch and feel and smell, because furniture does have smell, and have the vibe, and still have those sensations that we need as humans, and yet make it easier to do through both automation, integration, personalization. And ideally, I know the dream you and I have talked about before is that the tools you don't have to think about moving the data across, that you have one place to input your pictures and text, and maybe even have AI write a draft based on your pictures, and then have your inventory updated at each location that ships out. And one click, people see what they have, orders placed, everybody gets the updated data. That's the dream.
Yeah. And the thing about it is I'm already, I was out in a pottery making place 30 miles south of here. And everything I was seeing, everything in the back of my mind was, wow, I can't wait till my 3D ceramic printer is up and running, so I can bring these guys to Cohab to play with that, because even these traditional guys want to play with tech. So on the making side of it, we will be blending tech as much as, like, I had a wood turner out of Chicago here last week making beautiful wood turning, and he went and seen a water jet cutter across the street, and these different ways of bringing tech into stuff. And so how do we take the physical, what we're actually physically going to make, and how we're going to merge that, and then how do we bring that into the digital tech side of it and the physical building? And that's the kind of the merge. And the more we can interact with all those three elements, digital, building, product, technology, and hand. And that's four. But that's
multiple pieces.
That to me that's that puzzle. And that's a puzzle that I've been working effectively and successfully somewhat doing.
Well, I mean, I know you had actually a boost during the pandemic because you did have good technology backing you up, so you were able to sell things. I think that helped you get through that. And a lot of folks who were bored at home decided it was time to redecorate. So I think that helped you a little bit too. And that was a good thing. Yep. So stepping out of furniture industry a little bit, just thinking about, essentially you're running a technology business with the furniture flavor. There's still a technology side of the business, whether you like it or not. But as a person running a business that relies on technology and dealing with a partner, what advice, whether they're working with Code Engine or with somebody else, but what advice would you give them in what makes for a good partnership with a technology service provider like Code Engine?
I would say to know that you'll still be there in a year to support let's say the big build. So you do a big build. What the fear I would have the most is waking up and losing somebody that knows what I'm doing. And I think when you see a lot of offers coming across and this type of thing, you don't know who that whether or not they're going to be with you through the long term. And so we go back 8 years or so. I love your mission, and I love the way Code Engine runs. It's it's not a sweatshop, and I have to say that clearly. It's not a sweatshop coding shop. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for somebody who's running an honorable business and doing it in an effective way, but that also is affordable, and that's also understands where I'm trying to go. And so that's the kind of those key things. And so with that, the worst thing to do is not have anybody. Like you think, you go do a Shopify site or something like that, and you think you can just talk virtually to something. I mean, when the shit hits the fan, I feel very comfortable that right now, if I have a problem, I can get it solved. And that's and it's just that, and understanding everybody's unique business. And so you need to have somebody online that this isn't trying to fill their quota, to like sign up another account or do this type of thing. And I've been through that so many times, and so it's really about somebody that helps you grow your business. And I do feel that you guys do that.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we've enjoyed the partnership. I love the fact that, one, you're passionate about your business. I think that has been something that every developer that's worked with you, every project manager, and you and I have worked on multiple projects together. But the other thing is you're willing to give input, you're involved, and you're willing to take input. So you trust us as partners. You trust us to understand your technological needs. And sometimes we go, hey, there's this new technology available. Or hey, this is becoming outdated. We need to rethink it. So appreciate the fact that we can have the open lines of communication. I think that makes a big difference. So, John, thank you very much for being part of this webcast. We'll hopefully talk again outside of that soon, but we'll let you know when the episode is posted so you can share it with other folks. But yeah, thank you for being a part of this.
Okay, thank you.